sails are up and we're on our way to Menorca. Welcome to Sailing Magic Carpet. In this episode, we cross from Sardinia to Menorca, a distance of 200 nautical miles. During the crossing, we enjoy a day of wonderful winds and beam reach sailing, and we also experience 1 day and 2 nights of seasick misery. That's sailing for ya. We began by crossing to the westernmost point of Sardinia, a distance of only about 40 nautical miles. During that short crossing, we prepared a few things for the larger crossing ahead.
Since for our crossing we will be on a starboard track for all the 200 nautical miles, I have decided to get all the fenders on the left-hand side, speak the lightweight things, and instead all the external water tanks I put them on the starboard side. So that is my racing crew. No pumps needed, just a little bit of lifting before the crossing.
When we arrived at the western tip of Sardinia, we anchored for the night at a lovely little anchorage there. Aladino even tried to commune with the residents. There's a dolphin
Kind of cool to check it out.
who keeps hanging around this anchorage, and he's all by himself. It's very shallow water here, which is odd behavior for a dolphin, so I'm wondering if there's something maybe wrong with him. I don't know. But Aladino wants to go commune with the dolphin, so he's getting into his wetsuit.
Yes.
He's gonna go
Yes.
and make friends.
That would be a dream come true.
Yes.
If I could help a dolphin. I heard that
know.
happened before.
I don't know how he would help a dolphin.
Well, I heard that it happened before that, for example, a diver got a hook out of him.
Oh, really?
Yeah, things like that. Retrieve my fishing lure. No, I still have it. But yeah, there is footage of that.
Really?
A diver helped the dolphin get his hook out, but I mean, yeah, that is just because I've seen that video. Now I am hoping it is anything similar.
That would be pretty amazing.
Maybe that guy is all good, and it is all good.
We'll see. Unfortunately, the dolphin didn't come ask Aladino for help. But as we looked keenly over the water, searching for a flipper to break the surface, we nonetheless got treated to a beautiful sunset. The next morning we left Sardinia. There's a tricky passage to navigate through before reaching the open Mediterranean, so we kept looking at the charts and at the water as we motored carefully through.
This is a tricky passage that leads us onto the open ocean to cross to Menorca. I have been here before 2 years ago, and it is hard to see where you actually have to go through because there's rocks everywhere. I've tried 3 times last year and I always turned around because I was like, no, this can't be true. But actually it was. So I climbed the mast for the tricky passage, but actually from up here it doesn't look that difficult anymore. I can clearly see the rocks ahead, and I will guide my captain.
Just so you all know, we do not have steps to climb the mast, and he didn't even use a bosun chair. It turns out that my husband is an absolute monkey, and he just clambered right up the mast like it was a coconut tree. My conclusion, who needs a drone when you have an Aladino? The first day of sailing was really wonderful. We had good wind, full sails up, and very little waves.
A few dolphins just passed by when I was adjusting my lure, and I'm quite happy they're smart enough not to bite the lure. What beautiful creatures. And afterwards it's quite tricky. Every wave, every shadow, every splash, you think it's something in there. So you're always looking out for more and you see something in every wave. It's quite funny.
We also began figuring out how to use the mysterious wind vane. Neither of us have ever used a wind vane before. They seem really awesome, which is why we got one and installed one. But we're just not quite sure how they work, the theory behind them yet.
It works! First tryouts seem to be working. I know the outboard is in the worst possible location, disturbing the wind vane should be reading. We will definitely spend more time with this.
As day faded away, the sun set on our bow, filling the world with golden light. Of course, that's the perfect time for some music. The wind began to pick up overnight, and during the day the waves picked up too. We brought in our sails until we were left with just a tiny bit of jib rolled out, but we were still going at 5 knots. The waves were coming to us from the side, which made for a pretty uncomfortable ride. We both got a bit seasick and opted to stay in the cockpit rather than going below for pretty much the rest of the journey. So it's early morning on day 2 of the crossing to Menorca. Wind really picked up overnight and waves are a lot bigger now too. We've got some swell coming in, so I'm sure this is the edge of that storm building up in Marseille at the moment, which we talked about in the last episode before leaving. But all's good. The wind vane is steering and the sun is beautiful. Now the wind vane is able to keep up. Yeah, the wind vane wasn't doing so well earlier. I'm not exactly sure why. We're still trying to parse out the mysteries of how it works without any really great manual to help us. It sometimes feels like there is limitless time on the ocean. My only real job is to pay attention. There are no distractions. It's too bouncy to write, and reading would just soak my book in salt water. Of course there's no internet, no phone. I downloaded some podcasts, which I have listened to, but I feel strangely disconnected from the boat when I listen to them, so I stopped. Really, there's only the boat and my mind. I've been reading a bit about meditation recently. It's a passing interest of mine, though not one I've pursued too much. But from what I've read about meditation, and from what I've tried, it's very hard at first to calm down the mind. That's why you should try focusing on just one thing, your breath for example, or a mantra. Well, how about focusing on a boat? Last night I sat for hours, perfectly awake, doing nothing except watching the sails in the light of the moon. I didn't think of much at all. I just sat, wrapped in a blanket, quite still while the boat rolled beneath me. The wind seemed to blow any distractions from my mind. I was perfectly focused and entirely calm. I've always wondered how sailors like Bernard Moitessier can write so elegantly and endlessly about the sea. Perhaps it's because, like your mind does in meditation, the sea slowly reveals itself the more you sit still and allow yourself to watch. Sailors know this. It's why they keep coming back to the ocean. I am just learning this, but I will always come back to the ocean anyway, to learn, watch, feel, see more. When we did finally see Menorca after about 50 hours at sea, we were both glad to be headed towards a still anchorage. The seasickness and sleeplessness had taken a toll. How do you feel, Dini?
Yes.
Yes.
No, I feel no.
Yeah, it's been pretty much 2 nights of no sleep, so that's hard. But actually, one of the more challenging parts that I didn't even really notice at first was the fact that when you've got so many waves, the boat is rolling so much, every muscle in your body is constantly tensed, even when you're in a relaxed position and you don't realize it. You're holding on with your arms and your abs, and so my body just feels like I did a workout, even though all I've been doing is sitting in the cockpit, like watching the waves. But I'm tired. I'm very tired. It is about 8 o'clock in the morning and we're just coming into Menorca now. The wind finally died down, although the waves are still going strong, but we have the engine on now just for the last 8 or so nautical miles into land. Yeah, it's been a hell of a ride. The waves were very bouncy, so neither of us got much sleep. The boat was just smacked around. However, we are astounded by the wind vane. Like I mentioned, we've never used one before, so we kind of figured it out on this journey, and it did a phenomenal job. So cool. We decided to nickname it Tesla because it seems so sleek and innovative and quiet and perfect on renewable energy, and yeah, anyway, it's pretty good, but I'm pretty sleep deprived, as you can probably see from my face. I feel like it's the color of stone at the moment. I don't know if it is, but it sure feels that way. So I'm looking forward to get to Menorca and sleep all day, except that today is Aladino's birthday, so not best birthday probably ever. A little bit seasick, pretty tired, but we'll find a way to celebrate somehow. I just went and restored a little bit of order to our little floating home. It got to be quite a mess during the crossing because you literally could not stand up or or walk, you would be body slammed against the walls. You had to grip onto the rails which run along the roof in order to even move. So needless to say, things went flying everywhere, and when we changed clothes, we couldn't be bothered to put them away properly. They just went on the benches, so it was a bit of a disaster, but all good now. We're almost there. I'm really excited to be in a calm anchorage and to stop feeling quite so seasick. That'll be nice.
This, by the way, is dinner that we started 2 evenings ago. Yeah, half a bread.
Half a bread. And Aladino ate half the bread. All I've eaten, I ate 2 plums and a nectarine. And I threw the nectarine up, so actually I only ate 2 plums. And I slept for maybe like an hour, if that. So, feeling good.
Things in the boat, they go slamming around.
It's really loud, yeah.
Yeah, it's really loud inside.
Yeah.
Every wave moves things from one side to the other.
So, we're feeling a bit worse for wear. It was a bit of a rough crossing. Weather was more than we expected, but we handled it just fine. I think if given another day or so, then our bodies would have calmed down with the seasickness. We would have gotten a bit more used to it. Hopefully been able to sleep a bit more too. But for now, we're just tired. So we're at Menorca now. It's good to be here. But even through our slightly bleary vision, we appreciated the beauty of entering Mahon, the large inlet filled with islands and channels where we entered Menorca. In the next episode, we will explore beautiful Menorca. See you then.